Hello and welcome to Hangar. I'm JC. With me tonight are my co-hosts in crime, Jolly, Turing, and Callie Josh. Jolly, how you doing this
Doing great
fine
tonight, Jay.
weekend? How about you, Turing?
Oh, wonderful.
And finally, we have Josh, who hopefully has fixed his microphone sync issues.
Yeah, that'd be nice if my lips move with the sound.
Nope, it's not right, Josh.
Good, but it's not.
Plan B. You can't
Perfect.
see.
Nopes is the answer from ChapCap. You are not in sync. Your big, expensive audio DAC is
Not working.
not working correctly. Ugh. It's either that or it's the Mac it's hooked to, one of the two.
I don't know.
But we'll make do. So, anyhow, let's move on here. Our first topic tonight is, well, first, I want to thank everybody for being here. We've got a large audience already. More than 20 people are on, and hopefully that will grow significantly over the next few minutes since we just started banging away at telling people we're going live. I'm guessing there's a lot of people sitting at home tonight for some odd reason. I couldn't imagine why. But thank you for spending some time with us. We've got a lot of exciting stuff. We've kind of named tonight's show Home Alone Gaming to Do Pants Optional. So we're going to talk about the Karak, which is the newest, biggest ship in the game. I think that by far it's one of the better ships that they've released. You know, how do you think it matched up to your expectations, Josh?
Well, I like some of the bigger ships because of the multi-role capabilities. I got to fly it. I think Evo Cody had access during PTU, and I thought the ship was laid out really well. I thought the fact that the Pisces could land inside of it and you could see it from the inside with windows was really nice, and how they did the airlocks. I think that's going to be a great ship for any kind of multi-role action where you want to go somewhere, take another ship, take some vehicles. Whether you're exploring or not, I think that ship has a lot of roles it can do. And to me, that's why I like some of the bigger ships. So I was pretty impressed.
Okay. And Jolly, what are your thoughts on the
Yeah,
ship?
I had a chance to fly at PTU at Evacati, and also I flew the PU also. I did not pledge one, but I was able to play around with other players' characters themselves. I like the ship a lot. I think it's a gorgeous ship. If you're into the graphics type of it, I'm not big into that. I'm more into the stats guy. I think statistically, though, the ship is also very strong. Good firepower on it. I hear some complaints about it because it doesn't do absolutely everything. It's an exploration ship. Keep in mind, it's an exploration
Right.
ship. Don't try to make it into an everything ship. It's got a good cargo hold. If you want to use it for
Got a
cargo, you absolutely
great
can.
cargo
Got
hold.
great weapons loadout, in my opinion. Good sized weapons and stuff like that. So it can certainly fight. The guys complaining about, well, it doesn't have any missiles, or the pilot doesn't have any guns on it. It's like, well, you're not there. You're not a capital ship. That's not your purpose in life. It's not a drop ship. The Pisces, I thought, was a really nice add to it. We've been flying the Pisces for quite some time. I've had two of those. One I ended up upgrading to something else, I forget what it was, but I did keep one, even though I don't have the Carrack, because I think it's a neat little runaround ship for within the solar system itself. And I was able to land it, take it off. It wasn't difficult at all. I do find it's a good crew ship. If you have somebody working as an LSO for you, or a landing single officer for you as you're coming in to land it, works perfect. We did try launching at speed. It works. You can launch it.
It's dangerous.
You tumble around a little bit on exit, but you can get out of the ship. Landing, on the other hand, at speed is very difficult to do. I was never been able to successfully do that one yet. We didn't try it at low speed. Let's say at 50 meters a second, see if we could do it there. We probably might be able to squeeze it in there at 50, but we were trying at about 200 or so. I was like, a little too fast to get the Pisces in there. So
Yeah, it's a little hard to thread that needle.
Great ship. I think the price, if you bought it pledged it way back, fantastic price.
Absolutely.
Now, a lot more realistic price on it, but so be it. If you want to get one in the future, maybe purchase it through the game, what have you. But I do think it's going to be a top-notch exploration ship itself.
And Turing, what are your thoughts?
I think the first thing is it is truly a multi-crew ship. It is not a solo ship. I mean, you can do it solo, but you will not get the full effect out of it. Just like Jolly said, it has a lot of good multi-crew potential. We've done claim jumpers. We've done bunker missions with it. There are several things that you can do that's not just the ENS mechanic because the ENS mechanic is not in yet. I look forward to the expanding role, like CIG put out this last. I think I got yesterday, the calling all devs with the multi-crew piece of it, with the captain, the navigator, the engineer. All those things are built into that ship. I like the medical bay, and being able to have another ship that has that kind of capability. I can see that as an outstanding function when they start to do land-based exploration, and you have the medical bay up there, and if something happens, you'll spawn back up and not have to worry about it. It'll be interesting to see when they do actually bring in true multi-crew type play, how persistent it actually is going to be with the ability to organize that. But for right now, I think it met the expectations of most of the player base for what it was billed to be.
Oh, I think it exceeded it by far. My take. So I didn't buy one initially, but during the holiday sale, they had the Explorer pack on sale for dirt cheap for what you got. I mean, you just got a ton of exploration ships for next to nothing. When you really added it up, it was. I mean, what is the Carrack selling for now? Does anybody? $500. So it was like $630, and you got the Carrack, the Pisces, the I mean, it was like $800 or $900.
Terrapin.
Yeah, Terrapin. It was a lot of ships for a few bucks more.
It was a seriously good deal, and if you bought the mega pack, it was a very good deal as well.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, you saved $270 something worth of ships with that Explorer pack.
Easily.
So I actually picked it up myself.
And so I have a Carrack, and it's like somebody saying, "Oh, well, a Hammerhead is great, except you can't fly it by yourself." It's not meant to fly by yourself. Come on, be realistic.
My only real negative, and this is just my own opinion, I'll couch it with that, is I'm not a big fan of its commerce and transportation capability. Yes, it does have a big cargo bay, and if it's your only ship that you can run with cargo capacity, so be it. I find it rather large for some of the landing locations that it needs to go to. So it's slower to me than a typical cargo vessel might be, such as the Caterpillar, etc. I still think your Caterpillar is your best go-to right now, currently, until the Hercules ships get into the game. I can see that if it's your only cargo capable ship, that it would work. I just don't see it as a first line cargo type ship.
Well, and it's an exploration ship. It's got a lot of cargo capacity in its stock configuration. Yeah, but I think those bays in the bottom are supposed to be able to be switched out to give you other functionality. And I think that'll be handy. I think it'll be real handy to have those bays, and you can maybe do something, maybe more med bay space, maybe some type of other kind of space that you can put down in there, a weapons locker, something like that. Who knows? But, or some type of science bay or something like that would be real handy. But, for cargo space, it carries a lot of cargo. I mean, not a Caterpillar size of cargo. But I'll be honest, I mean, it's a lot easier to land than a Caterpillar as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Terry brought up a real important point about the med bay. Again, focus on the exploration aspect of this. Yeah. The idea you got a full crew out there, and you are a full day away, gaming-wise. A full day of gaming, you've flown out to the middle of bloody nowhere. And with that bay there, that allows your crew to be able to have your spawn point there, as opposed to you lose a crew member for whatever reason. And guys, I'm respond at Lorville, have fun, I'll never see you again. So it's an important gameplay aspect to this ship.
It is.
And that's the thing about some of the bigger ships, is you really get the multi-role games. So you can go out and do an exploring mission. You could take a rover and go do some bunker missions. You can do more than one thing and have, like you said, the spawn point capability. And that's why I put the money into, like an 890. And while the Carrack doesn't have all the same features, it gives you almost the same for about half the cost.
And I would say that we're overlooking a little bit of the repair capability, because it has a repair room with a workshop. Mm-hmm. You've got drone capability that you might be able to put out there. I know that's mostly geared toward exploration, but who knows what drones you might be able to put out there. And I think the command and control capability, the fleet control capability of the ship.
Yeah, that you know, and I've not been down in there, but rumor has it that you can actually sit at that console and see other ships nearby today.
I have not had that happen for me. I know that
I, I,
others have said that that has, but I have not actually seen it yet myself.
I have not, but I've been flying it instead of being down in that room when we've been doing stuff. So, but I've had somebody on and say, "Oh, look, I can see so and so on this map," and you know, so once they get that gameplay mechanic working, that it's going to be a poor man's CNC ship comparatively to anything else we've got right now. I mean, you can't CNC out of a hammerhead. There's no way to do it today.
No, you don't have that same globe capability or the cartography upstairs that will allow you to see the entire system at one laydown.
Exactly. And that's where I've heard is in the cartography room they've been able to see other ships.
Yeah, and who knows what that'll feed in the future. You know,
Exactly.
you may be able to see other
Lots of
stations, NPC nests, things like that. So who knows?
Completely agree. It's amazing. So, you know, I think as a command and control ship, it may be a big benefit, you know, for poor man. I mean, there'll be other command and control ships. Hopefully they fix the Terrapin as well and turn it into a decent little CNC ship.
And right
now it's useless.
It doesn't fly like a big ship. It really handles pretty well.
Which one, the Carrack or the Terrapin?
The Carrack.
Yeah.
It handles pretty well. Doesn't stop very fast, but it handles pretty well.
And there are some little things that they're going to have to work on. The whole, you know, the whole rover bay door, not, you know, they're going to have to work on the mechanics of that a little bit. And because it's really hard to go, oh, I'm in a flat spot. Is it flat enough? Oh, you go down. Oh, no, nobody can hop on the cargo bay, lift off, move 5 feet kind of thing. They're going to have to figure out a little bit of that, I think, on a rework. But other than that, I think it's great. You would think that an exploration ship with a cargo or with a landing ramp would be a little less sensitive to the ground topography than it is.
Well, it needs to just be articulated a little bit more in the front.
Agreed completely.
Or maybe have some kind of system that helps you spot out a landing zone for it, or projects, you know, for you the size of it so you can pick out where you need to land.
Yeah, I think it'll be quicker and easier just to fix a little bit of articulating on the ramp. Charlie, anything else you'd like to add about the Carrack before we move on?
It's a big plus in that ship.
Now, guys, if you have questions,
good design.
It's a great design. People that are watching, if you have questions, go ahead and ask them in chat. We'll answer them as we get to them. We'll have a question and answer session. I know there's going to be some controversial stuff we're talking about tonight. The Carrack's not very controversial. I think it's thumbs up for most people. But you know, ask questions, and I'm watching chat, and I know the other guys are as well. So moving on, Turing brought this little nugget up for us to talk about, and that is limited long-term persistence. Turing, take it away.
Yeah, so I was really looking forward to this when it rolled out in, was it 3.8.1, 3.8.2? Being able to have things carry forward and not be subjected to the massive wipes that we've had in the future. And I do know that CIG has said that they still reserve the right to wipe. Looks like we might get one at 3.9 based upon some of the ship duplication issues and some of the exploits that were happening. But right now, your UEC that you earned, your personal inventory, your ship inventories, those things will carry. So when you spend the time, grind the credits, buy the stuff, you'll have it to carry forward in the future. What's not persistent right now is, of course, if I put something down in a location, it's not there when I get back. Your ships despawn. Your cargo is still an issue unless you land at a location where your ship can be stored, or you log off through your bed log like you have in the past. Your cargo will go poof and you will still lose your credits. So there's still a lot of things. That's why it's the limited piece of it. But I'm really excited about what they're doing with it and how it can be carried forward in the future. And I think it's just that one more step towards a live product.
Well, and I agree with you. Here's going to be my 2 cents worth on it. I think it's too early. I think that it's a gimmick. I think that we really shouldn't have had to worry about this at this point. And here's why. 30Ks are killing us. And if you're a cargo runner or you're trying to figure out how to do this stuff, make money and mining and cargo hauling, and then you 30K and you just lose half of your money. Then you have to go ask for a wipe so I really think they should have gotten a little bit farther along before they started this. I know they have to test it and get some kinks worked out for future stuff, but it just seems to be a little bit too early for me. Josh, what do you think?
Well, I'm probably the bad person to ask because I've been very tired of going and buying the same uniforms and getting my character prepped the same time. I probably spent, I don't know, countless hours doing it. And when I heard that that was happening, I was like, okay, finally, I'm going to go to all the places, get all the things I want. And I did it, and they updated it, and it was gone. It was wiped for me. So I agree. I don't think it's working properly for everyone. It's a little bit frustrating. I know it's we're early in the game still, and they're trying to do it, and I appreciate that. But I almost wish they would do some things that guaranteed we didn't have to do certain things over, like just put some of the basic weapons and armor in your inventory, and maybe you can earn some of the special colors or different things. But it really it takes away from me when I've got to log in, go get this uniform, go get that piece, go get my card to remove my wanted level. And I just wish we had something that we knew worked all the time, because that part just, I'm so bored of it, to be honest.
No, and I get that. Jolly, your thoughts on long-term persistence?
Yeah, it's overdue. I am concerned, like Turin mentioned, it may get a wipe again here. It'll be a wipe at some point in time. Maybe 3.9, maybe not. We didn't wipe in 3.82. We did a partial wipe in 3.82, at least on the gear. Josh's point is real valid about the time sink every time this happens. Usually we get a wipe. It goes in there. First thing I do is, no, it's all memorized, all the uniform I need, the weapon I want. I know where that's all at. And I spend the first day just running around getting all that garbage. The bigger aspect is now you're modifying ships. I've got 4 heavily modified ships, and the parts are in different areas. It costs a various amount, so I got to make sure I run around, get all that stuff going again, load it back up to get at least those 4 ships up there. That's only a fraction of the ships I have. I haven't bothered touching the other thing. It's just not worth my effort. At least the fighters, I get some sort of payback for it. Make sure they can do what I want them to do. So there's a real time constraint, waste every time.
And
we
then
have to
you
go through
don't.
this again.
Then you're not exploring whatever is new.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
Right. I mean, I have a list of, it's sort of like the new patch checklist that I have.
Yeah.
Here's where I need to start going. For day 1, run
Fly
these
here, fly
box
there.
missions. Day 2, go to this location. Day 3, build Andromeda, build Hornet, build Super Hornet. I mean, that's the way it works. And I was really psyched that I didn't have to start doing that again when 3A2 came over. But unfortunately now I'm so invested in upgrading my ships that, I'm really going to cry if they wipe it again, unfortunately.
And Hendrosa is saying hello to us on chat. Thank you, Hendrosa.
Hold on.
So, I mean, it's going to improve stuff long term. I get that. And I know that they had to start putting this in. But, there's some growing pains with it. And I'm sure, a year from now, we'll look back and laugh at them like we have with a lot of the other stuff.
Right.
I just wish they could fix the 30Ks. I'm sorry.
Now, where they're going is it's not just going to be in your infinite bag of holding anymore. Eventually,
Yes.
the persistence will go to wherever you set it down last, wherever you hung it up last, hung up your uniform last, wherever you did this is where it's going to be. And you're going to have to run back around to try to get all your stuff if you don't have some central location to be able to do things. So,
and see, that's where some of these bigger ships, I'm so excited about that, because I can go and, let's say we're using a Vanguard or a Valkyrie or a Karak. You can go into the Karak and you can pool some money together and load equipment and armor up into the armory. And that way, if somebody shows up and they don't have the right gun or don't have the right stuff, it's like, go get it out of the armory and put it back when you're done. There's some really cool stuff we can do in that space.
And that's going to make choosing which ship you take on a mission very important, whether that's an environmental suit or the weapons you need or food. Some of the smaller ships, I think this, reveals some of their limitations.
yeah, especially with the new mechanics of you have to make sure you've got the right uniform on for whatever environment you're going to, or you're going to die a lot quicker. And oh my God, did I put my chocolate bar in my backpack before I left? Because
Right.
otherwise, I'm going to go blind here in about 2 or 3 hours flying on this long mission. So yeah, it's going to make a difference.
Well, and if you were
Yeah,
doing a string of missions, several different bunker missions, you're going to need a ship that's going to be able to carry ammo as well.
agreed. I mean, this
Eventually,
is
yeah.
when we get there. This is really going to start to matter, and this, the Pisces or the puddle jumper or whatever we want to call it that it is, and it's a great little ship. It doesn't have any cargo space. You don't have any way to carry anything around really in it.
The Pisces
And
carries 2 boxes, I thought, or
well,
4.
it does, but there's no armory. There's no place
Yeah, no.
for environmental suits in it. That's what I'm saying is that there
They
are
do
some of
have an
these
EVA.
ships
They do have EVA lockers that you can put things in. They do have those.
in the
And the
Pisces.
Pisces?
Oh, not in the Pisces. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Pisces. I mean, it's really going to bring in this combo of mother ships and daughter ships and the little runners, so that you have a place where you could do the resupply and get food and armor and the right kind of suits and that kind of stuff. It's really going to be. It's going to make the gameplay a lot better when they get rid of the bag of holding. I fully believe that.
And it's going to
The,
make. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
you may have noticed the R&Rs, the storage rooms that are out there now, and it's gonna be around all of them. So there'll be places where you can leave your stuff on these various stations and rest stops, etc. Now, the matter of tracking where you left your stuff, I don't know if the game's gonna help you out with that or not.
I don't know
or
about
it's gonna
that.
Pen and paper to keep track of everything, but that
Well,
should be a little bit of a challenge.
Speaking of that, one of the big problems with having big ships right now is if you do take your Carrack somewhere and you want to drop down to it on the planet, unless you leave a person there who's in your group, you've got no quantum beacon to go back. So you're going to have a long, slow trip. And I think that's something they got to figure out too.
Yeah, Shep brought up a point in chat about like a storage box, for example, a storage container module, SKU worth of storage, whatever case may be, you can put inside a ship and keep your junk there.
Yeah, but
Wouldn't be a bad
I
idea.
think Josh's big point is something that I've encountered too. I made the mistake of getting my Carrack, flying my Pisces down to Microtech, and kind of losing track of time and realizing that my Carrack's in synchronous orbit up there, and is slow, and not really slowly, but quickly moved away from where I thought it was, and I couldn't find it. I could not find it. So and I didn't even do Jolly's normal thing is make sure you fly back toward the sun, or some other landmark or something. So that was a big explosion for my Pisces being exploded there on the surface. But that is a big problem that it does not leave a marker necessarily with where you were. Once you get out of a certain range, it goes poof.
Yeah, you need that spline capability or quick quantum to get back there.
Yes,
And you
You're
can't
gonna-
open the hangar from inside your Pisces. That was the
Yeah.
other bad thing I had it, but
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah. I just realized that. That's
yeah.
a security thing, but it's also a dangerous
Right.
security
So the
thing.
fix is you get out, you fly down, and you go in through the top hatch. But guess what? So can every other person that finds your Carrack while
Right.
you're down exploring on the ground. So again, not a single player ship.
No, I mean, you're going to have a crew that you leave behind that's going to be sitting up there doing, playing solitaire in the,
Your
in the
LSO
game
is going to
room,
be watching YouTube videos while you're
Yes.
down there.
which
It'd be-
you might as well not have, because somebody will, they'll be so out of it that somebody will come up, fly in, come in through the hangar and kill him, but and take your ship. But
It'd be nice, like when you come to a landing zone, if you could just interact with your ship and it had some kind of encrypted signal that it's only you that lets you open it or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Just do it through your Moby glass, just like
Right.
a regular calling.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
fine
Yeah,
with
just
that
like
too.
another port.
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
like
I completely
that way I
agree.
can lock the ship and then I can still get in it when I get back.
But the other thing that we're missing is coordinates. At some point for exploration to work, they're going to have to be able to give us the ability to enter in the equivalent of a lat long on a planet and have it pop up a beacon for us to fly to. And some way to read those coordinates out, on your Moby glass or on a device of some sort, so you can write them down or record them or something.
Yeah,
Didn't-
name and save them.
Didn't they at one time say they were going to have some sort of a device that you could plant, like a signal stick or something that would give a quantum beacon or some kind of beacon?
I think that the only thing I've seen like that is for land claims. I haven't heard them,
Okay.
but they definitely are going to have to give us something.
Yeah, Shap is
To-
saying a geotac beacon.
Geotac beacon, yeah,
Oh,
that'd
that's
be
for
very
land
cool.
claims. Okay, I got it.
But that
Yeah.
is for claims, yeah. But they're going to have to give us some way of setting coordinates and then be able to punch those in. So you, even if you don't get a quantum beacon, at least you get a marker on your HUD that you can fly to.
Right.
So it's got to come. I mean, it's just rendezvousing with somebody is so hard to do today, and as you get into exploration and stuff, it's going to be harder and harder. They're gonna have to input that or put that in place sooner than later. Or as Cobra says, they need to put a garage door button on the Moby that only works for you.
But anyway, we got away from long-term persistence, but that's, to me, that is a step in the right direction, and will keep us from having to run the laundry list of 128 items I got to do right now to get back into the game every time it drops.
Yes. And when we were getting the minor revisions every 2 or 3 weeks and having wipes, it was real painful. So, moving on to segment number 3, long-term org planning. Jolly, this was a topic that you were really adamant about us adding.
I wasn't
So I'll let
adamant
you kind of
about it, but
but you
it's
wanted
sort
to
of
talk
important
about it.
to consider now. I'll say we're 2 years for going live. Just pull a number out, right or wrong.
18 months,
optimistic or
2
not.
years.
I'll call it 2 years. Right now, a vast majority of the backers, over 2.5 million of them, they're not in any type of organization whatsoever. No, they're not in an org for various reasons. A lot of folks just aren't playing the game. They're waiting for it. They don't like playing alpha games, which I can fully understand. So they're wait. Some are in very small orgs, really just friends and family type of organizations that are out there, really small ones. In fact, if you take the top 50 organizations, size-wise, it's every org that has 400 or more members in it, add them all together, it's less than 2% of the total population of the backers that are playing Star Citizen. Well, that's going to change. Once we go live, I do expect to see not just an influx of new players, new purchases of the game, those people that enter into it, but all those who've been kind of hanging out on the sidelines, they're going to start wanting to go into one organization or another. Now, some of the larger organizations are fairly well established, but even they're going to go through a growth that may surprise them and may cause some challenges. The smaller ones that may only have currently 50 members, 75 members, they may find also the numbers double, triple, or even quadruple. And are you ready for that type of change once the game goes live itself? A couple of things to consider is you need a staff. Now, most organizations have a staff of some sort. RSI has set up their website such to support staff because they have a rank type system in there. So there's something set there for you already. Well, how much of staff do you need, and how do you want to organize your staff? Is any organization need whatsoever? I mean, a lot of organizations that are smaller are just, hey, it's a laissez-faire type approach to the game. Just have fun. We'll figure things out later on as time goes by. But if you want to have some sort of operations as an organization, there's a reason for an org that's to support each other, to work together in different tasks. That's going to need some sort of control, some sort of planning that has to be done. And somebody's have to do that type of work to coordinate the guys who only can play 2 hours on a Saturday with those who may have a lot more time and be able to play the game a lot more to put things together. So what type of staff do you want? What do you want to look like? Now, most organizations, if you look at them, they all have, I'll call it a division for lack of a better term, different jobs. Like almost all of them have some sort of a security type of function, or they have an exploration function or mining, whatever the case would be. That seems the most common, multi-rolled organizations. There's a few out there that are pretty well organized, but they're purely focused on just one area whatsoever. Might not be a supply refueling, for example. There's one really good organization out there that's focused just on being a fuel supplier, which is fine if that's what the player wants to, the member wants to do. But there may be something more than that. So you have to rethink, what do I want to offer those who are in my organization, as for what they can or cannot do, the case may be. So something else you want to consider on itself. You got to meet your members' needs. Okay, if you get an organization that only does 1 or 2 functions, you're going to miss out on having other members join you who want to do other aspects of the game itself. So I would say the more options you offer, the better off you are as an organization. I don't care what size you are, but you also want to have some sort of structure to it to make sure you carry out those operations that you kind of envision. Other things to keep in mind, RSI provides every organization a form. It's right there for you.
Don't use it.
Meet your needs? There's various factors. How much do you control it? How can you set it up? What type of features can you have? It's all, you don't get to decide all that tough stuff. RSI or CI's done that for you. Hopefully it's what you want. So you may want to have your own forum set up somewhere to support your members. Voice chat. We got VoIP and we got text chat in games, so we've got those 2 covered. VoIP's pretty darn limited. I use it. I like it, but it's pretty darn limited. Do you need, if you have your organization, need some sort of voice chat support system out there? There's various ones. We've covered them previously on previous shows. Pick the one you want to support your organization and help it grow. So that's something to keep in mind. I would say now's the time to start looking at that type of stuff. To realize you may only have 50 members in your org. That's going to change. You're going to get more people in there. Start looking for it and setting yourself for success when that point in time comes.
Well, and a couple of things. One, not to argue with your math too much, but while there are 2.5 million accounts, we know from our experience that less than half of those are actually backers. So there's really only about 1.2 to 1.3 million backers. So the number's a little bit off in that.
Well,
of
each account
backers.
is going to be in. Each account is there. It's
correct,
maybe
but a lot of them don't have packages. Over 1 million of the accounts don't have packages.
Really?
Yeah, it's when the number they're giving you is people that have signed up for an account on the RSI website.
Right.
That's the 2.5 number, and we know from experience that 40-50% of those don't have chip packages.
Okay, that'll double percentage to 2%.
Yeah.
That's at 4%.
It's
4%. Yeah. It's still very small. I didn't want to nitpick too much, but something for people to keep in mind is that, RSI touts, and there's nothing wrong with this, how many accounts were created, not how many backers we actually have. And so it's off by about 50%. It's about half of the accounts. A lot of accounts get created for free fly weekends. A lot of accounts get created to hold names and things of that nature, but they haven't bought into the game yet. And so I fully expect we're going to see a lot more than 2.5 million backers by Go Live or at Go Live. But today it's about 1.2 million. The other thing to keep in mind is that there's 60,000 organizations, but 45,000 of those organizations only have one account in them. Yeah. So, there's really only about 100 orgs that have 100 members or more. It's really, there's a very steep curve at the top. It's a very small part. The top 50 orgs or so of people in orgs represent more than half of the people in all the orgs easily. So there's some things to keep in mind. Is there's a lot of little orgs out there with 2 or 3 people, and I don't know what they're going to do. If you're sitting on a 50-person or 100-person org, growth is an option. If you're in a 3-person org and you want to be competitive as a large group, I mean, and let's be honest, all of us are from ADI. We don't hide that fact. But I don't know that I could start a brand new org today. I've been here since day one. Josh has been here since day one. I don't know that I could start over today and build a 2,000 member org in the next 2 years. I think that that's unless you're coming with an established player base. I just don't see how you do that today.
Yeah, unless you're a niche, for example, language base, a specific language base that will draw people in. That's about the only way you can get a new organization going with
or some social based.
Yeah.
Somebody, if you have a following on social media or something, I agree completely.
Trying to push
Josh,
through
do you
that
think?
clutter. Go ahead. Just trying to push through all that noise and clutter of 45,000 other orgs. But anyhow, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, the point that I'm making is I just don't, if you're in a 5-person org, you're not going to build that into a 100-member org probably. I mean, the chances of that are very slim. And to build it into a 1,000-person org is a pipe dream today.
That's the Friday night beer club. I mean, that's really what that 5-member org is.
Yeah.
But a lot of the game is going to be unavailable to you, though, right? I mean, look, you need 5 guys to just run a Karak by itself.
I mean, I remember, I think I was one of the early recruiters, and we did a lot of work to talk to people, and each recruit we would spend an inordinate amount of time trying to get. So just even thinking of it from that perspective and how we would work so hard to just get one recruit, I mean, the amount of time and effort, and now that there's so many orgs, I think it would be very difficult unless you have a specialized online social media following or some way to bring people in. But yeah, I mean, 4 or 5 members, I think you're going to be forced to interact with other orgs or NPCs to get the things done that you need, especially trying to do anything in a remote area.
Well, and ChapCap mentions that he thinks there's going to be a lot of solo players that just want to get out and grind, and I agree with that.
Sure.
But a lot of this, there's a lot of ships that you can't unlock as a solo player. I mean, you're not going to be able to successfully go out and fly an Idris as a solo player or a 5-man org routinely.
You can't
just
even
don't
fly
have
a,
Hurricane as a solo player.
not right, or a mole or any of that.
Yeah, I mean, are there going to be those people? I agree completely, but there's a lot of ships. There's just a lot of the bigger stuff that you're not going to be able to unlock with pickup groups.
Yeah, and Shap is making a good point. There are a lot of starter ships, the Prospector, the Vulcan, the Vulture, those things that are solo starter ships toward a profession or toward a gameplay mechanic. At some point, if I was a solo player, I would be asking myself, is all? Is there no more that I can do? You're going to reach a cap, you're going to reach a ceiling as to what you can and can't do, and then you're going to start reaching out and trying to get people to come help you, and you're going to realize real quick that those people have either already been sucked up into some other organization, or you're not going to want to have those people on your ship anyway because they're
There's a reason why they haven't been
Yeah.
sucked up by another
or
organization.
they just don't know what the heck they're doing, and you're going to wind yourself up in an asteroid or something like that. So I think as you grow, it's sort of like celestial bodies. As you grow and add more mass, and things tend to gravitate to you. I think that's the beauty of what we're doing now within our organization is that people gravitate to us because we are large and we are able to give them something that they can't get on their own. And I would say if you're in an organization looking to do this long-term planning, don't plan beyond your headlights. Don't plan beyond the means that you currently are. If you are in that 20 group, if you are in that 50 group, don't think you're the 1,000-person organization, 2,000-person organization. You're simply not going to survive. And I think some other things you need to do is invest in how you're going to interact with other organizations within the game that you encounter. You will encounter other orgs as you move along, and how are you going to do that? Basically a diplomatic corps, some diplomatic kind of mechanic within your organization. How are you going to sell yourself? How are you going to, if you can't do the things because you're not large, doesn't mean you can't do the things. You can make networks. You can build relationships and invest a little bit of that time as well as you do that planning.
Well, and Lacoste, and just kind of going through the chat here real quick, Lacoste says alliances and coalitions, and I largely think that for small orgs that's still a dead end, because what's going to happen is that the alliance org is the group is going to eventually just engulf you into their alliance, because trying to coordinate between 10 different chiefs is too hard. It's much easier to for the stronger, more organized members of the coalition or the alliance to just slowly suck your members in and get them in their org or the alliance org where it's easier to manage. So I don't see that as a growth mechanism if you're in a small org. Does anybody disagree?
No.
No.
If you got a 20-member organization and you want to try to align with a 5,000 plus member org, what are you offering them? I mean, why should I align with you? What am I getting out of this? Yeah. There's nothing there.
And alignment may not be what you do. It's just that you recognize your limitations and then understand that you may have to buy services from other orgs to get things done.
There you go.
Sure.
Know, so know that as an issue.
But every time you interact with one of those other bigger orgs, there's going to be this gravity pulling your members to start playing with them instead, because it gives them so many more play options.
Well, just like businesses, though, eventually you may want to sell your business and become part of a larger organization. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
And so Sailor is in here thinking, he's saying, I think you're wrong. Just fly every night. That's how you grow one person at a time.
Sure.
And Sailor, here would be my argument against that. We're 2 years, let's say, so that's 700 days from today. Let's say that the game goes live. One person a day. Can you do that realistically? 7 days a week, 365 days a year. you still don't make 1,000 members. You know, and I can tell you, I mean, we're a big org. We have a larger staff team in our organization than,
Most
all but
organizations.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
95% of all organizations out there, we have a larger staff team, and we still only manage to recruit 5 to 10 players a day. I mean, I couldn't even comprehend having like 5 or 6 guys and trying to recruit one new person every day.
And
I mean,
it's
Josh, it'd be crazy. It'd be back the days we started ADI.
it's a diminishing return. I mean, think of how many members we have. Think of how many are active. And I believe we probably have a very active org percentage wise. But even if you added one person a day or another person here, that person's probably got other things to do and they're not going to be there every day. So how many people do you actually have to have an organization big enough to just crew a small ship? I think the numbers are bigger than people think.
Well, I mean, if you use math, if you use basic math, you're going to need a good data set. You're going to need 50, to crew a 50-person ship or a 50-person mission, let's say. You're really going to have a bare minimum of 500 people in your org to be able to do that, at any, any night of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, on a consistent basis. You're going to need 10 times whatever your crew requirements are. So, you're really, if your hope is to fly Idrises every night, you really have to belong to an org that's at least 500 members, just looking at statistics from other multiplayer games.
And it doesn't mean that somebody who has a good social media presence, a Twitch stream, things of that nature can't attract people and grow on a consistent basis. I mean, you can do that. It's just going to be difficult.
I think somebody that has 1,000 followers on Twitch, or even 500 followers on Twitch, are in a much different situation than the vast majority of people that are in a 5-member org. If you have that kind of social reach, you're in a different situation than the average person trying to start an org. Don't you agree, Jolly?
Yeah, I agree. You have, as we said earlier, you have something in common that we create a group. And I've seen this occur a couple times recently, where all of a sudden a group will go fast grow. All of a sudden they're up to 20 members and 50 members, 75 members. There was something that was a catalyst behind all that, whether it be language or a region or whatever the case may be, when somebody decided to start a group up. That makes perfect sense to me. Now, one of the comments
programming. There's some orgs that we know that are growing pretty fast because they got a programmer in there.
So that part, yeah, that's still out there for you. That could happen. One of the comments had been, what if you have multiple 10-member orgs that they could merge together into a large organization? Absolutely.
Yeah,
actually,
definitely.
I would recommend you go down that path if you can, to try to get 100 people into your organization. Just running around with just 10, you'll get a lot more out of the game itself if you have at least 100 people to play with, as opposed to 9 others and you. It just wouldn't quite be the same.
So It's Raven is asking, how are you planning to manage recruitment of possibly large number of members once the game goes live? Well, we're a monster. What we're doing is not what most people are doing. The first thing is that we automate a lot of stuff at ADI. I'm not going to hide that. We have an entire programming team on the staff, and they do a wonderful job. They've created this tool for us that we manage all of our players with, or all of our members. And so we're geared up to be able to onboard, 500 people a week when the game goes live, we think. And we're working to make that faster and get a larger staff. So, to Turing's point, when you're in a big org, your senior leadership has to be looking forward 2 years. So that they can, this is where we want to be. These are the capabilities we want to have, and really start to make sure that you're setting up milestones for success that far out. So, but we're not your normal animal. We're the largest exclusive org in the game. We're the second largest org by actual members, and I think fourth largest org by total members. So, yeah. We're a monster. But we just, this last weekend, a week ago today, had our 6-month planning meeting that was like 3 hours long, right, Jolly? It was crazy.
Yeah, it was
crazy. Yeah.
I would
But
say too, don't forget our marketing that we do.
we
We're
do.
on
Oh God.
we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch. That we're getting the message out. And Raven, that's one of the ways that you reach out uh, and utilize those social media contacts that you can maximize to get your. And they're doing it. And our social media group is fantastic. They do it in a way that makes you want to come and take a look at what we're doing. It looks fun, it looks exciting, and you want to be part of the organization and the way they do it. And they do a wonderful job with it.
And we run ops and we stream and we do this. We do this show is kind of getting the word out. I'm not going to lie. And we just do so much. I mean, we've got a whole 8-man, I think it's 7 or 8 guys that work on nothing but social media. Well, and Sailor makes a comment.
Sailor, real quick, Jay, just Sailor's Pitchfork. All right, now that's a different type of animal. Even we allow our members to have associations with affiliation with Pitchfork itself.
Begrudgingly, yes.
Pitchfork isn't really an organization.
No, it's not. It's a one and done, I think, or at least that's how they're building themselves. And it doesn't have a lot of members. It's 400 or 500 actual members, and the rest are affiliates.
To include our members, which are affiliated.
To include,
with Pitchfork.
we probably have 200 or 300 of those members.
At least.
And so I don't know. I think one of the things is, our outlook is a little bit different. I don't argue, but we started off small. I mean, ADI started off as, as a very small team. We brought over about 25 guys from a couple of different games we were playing together and started ADI. But and growth was always something that we talked about. I mean, it was there since day one, and we were lucky. We worked really hard, and now 6+ years later, here we sit, and we're one of the largest orgs. And it took a lot of labor to get there. I mean, it took a lot of hard work. Josh has been here since day one, onboarding people. I've onboarded hundreds of people myself into the org, and we've just been blessed to recruit great people and empower them to help make the org that much better. And, Jolly here wasn't with us day one. Turing wasn't here with us day one. We've got guys in here, Shapcap, who's the head of our diplomatic corps. We've got Nam is in here. Nam wasn't with us, but these guys are absolutely top-notch guys that have helped build things. And the other, I think, our success is a lot different than other group successes. We have a large staff team. If you look at the next largest org from us, which would be Test, they have about, they're much bigger. They've got about 20,000 members, and, maybe 9,000 of those are actual members. They have a staff team of 10, but a very different play style. Nothing, Montoya's a nice guy, I guess, and not saying anything negative about him in any way, shape, or form, or any of the Test guys. It's a different play style than we have. We just went a different way. We have a large staff team, and that has allowed us to just do a lot of hard work.
And I would say, in responding to Sailor, you can play the game as a single solo person.
And have fun.
There's nothing wrong with that, and you will have fun. It's what you want to get out of it for your own personal experience. So that's really the key. And you can do it with a 20-person org. You can do it with a 100-person or 1,000-person org. It's what do you want to get out of it, and how difficult do you want to make it for you or your small organization to do, and how quickly you'll become tired of doing it that way. That's all I'll say.
If you want to run box missions or do something that's in a system or on a planet or something basic, I think those things are a little easier. You want to do an operation that's farther out and requires more resources and assets. How many of your guys are going to be able to run back and forth and ferry things? Can you hire someone that's going to reliably arrive for you? I think the more you go out to what they've called the areas that are going to be less secured by the UE Navy and that are going to potentially have more of the profitable things, I think the more you do that, the harder it is, the smaller the group you are, because you have to bring everything with you. And to Turin's point, you have to sustain it. And so I think that's where the difference comes is sustained operations that you can maintain as a group.
And Sailor, that's what your comment is exactly what we're doing every day is we're looking at that actual gameplay, not just the alpha game mechanics or what we're testing today or what's the meta for the day. We're looking at it from the long-term integrated gameplay.
And so this point is pretty valid. There are players who just look, I just want to play the game. Literally, I can only afford to play 2 hours on a Saturday night. That's it.
Perfect.
And then go ahead and enjoy the game for that aspect of it. And there's those who are going to put hours and hours per week into the game itself. You need to have that full spectrum available, or at least my opinion is, an organization should have its full spectrum available to members. ADI is not listed as a hardcore organization. It's casual. We have members who come in fully onboarded. They're 100% access. They're one of us. They disappear for a year because the game just doesn't interest me at that point in time. I'll see them a year later. We'll make sure they're good to go again and press on. There's no participation requirement. Okay, it's not a hardcore organization. Some members will absolutely play it like a hardcore organization, but it isn't. You need to have that option available to your members.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, every org is going to have a slightly different culture and a slightly different flavor. And ADI by far, which is the org that I run, and with with a lot of the guys that we're talking to tonight, isn't for everybody. I mean, we're for a very small fraction of the player population. I get that, but there's just physical mechanics here. If you want to unlock certain aspects of the game, large ships, if you want to unlock complicated taking down of enemy large ships, if you want to go out in a very dangerous area and fight very dangerous enemies en masse, to unlock those things, you have to have others to go with you reliably. And the truth is that for a lot of people, that means you have to be in an org that has people on when you want to play. And I liken it to, all of us got started in gaming, or at least I did, got started in gaming playing with buddies. And we would play on a Friday night, like Dark Age of Camelot. I'll use that as an example. And there'd be like 8 of us on, and we'd be playing, and we'd have a great time. But some of us would get on Wednesday, and there'd only be one other person in the group on. And so we started meeting other people and bringing them into the group so that we'd have people to play with on Wednesdays. And some of the other guys would be playing on Thursdays when I couldn't play, and the same would happen. And, it's the thought process here is the bigger the group, the more opportunities there are for you as a casual player and as a hardcore player to be able to go play this higher end level of the game. Right, Jolly?
Yeah. Yep.
It's really that simple. Turing, we've kept you quiet. What are your thoughts?
No, I think we've covered it pretty well.
We've killed that horse.
I want to. The reason I'm here, the reason I joined ADI was to be part of a larger group that had a vision, a long-term vision, and to have fun. And I think if you can meet that with your small org, if you can do that on your own, so be it. We'll see you out in the verse.
Yep. Okay, Josh, any last thoughts on this before we turn it over to you for the next segment?
No, I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay, so just to introduce, Josh is kind of the quasi-leader of what we call the Fighter Mafia. He actually runs joystick and controller configurations for ADI, which, yes, that is a thing. And he wanted to talk about this tonight. Gamepads for ground vehicles. Is it the ultimate controller for driving around on the ground? What do you think, Josh? Take it away.
So I do, but I started racing online years ago. I used to crew in a sprint car like this. And a lot of my original use of a peripheral was, a steering wheel. And quite funnily, when I started playing a lot of hardcore sim racing games, I'd want to do something for fun. I would do Battlefield. And I actually used a racing steering wheel to drive some of the ground vehicles. And I realized quite quickly that this was not the most efficient way. The wheel was more precise than what you're using, and you had to go full lock to get things done. It just was not a great option. So moving into Star Citizen, I actually purchased a gamepad like this. This is an Xbox controller. It works very well because you have these nice little analog buttons here that let you control the steering up here and the throttle forward and back. Now, if you're going to be loading onto a ship, I've found that I can park more ships than maybe was original, or more ground vehicles than was originally intended in certain ships, just because you can park them very close and you can make slow, precise movements. At least I'm not talented enough to do some of those things with a keyboard. So I've really gotten used to that. I really like it. I think that we did, my gosh, how long ago was it we did that thing where we ran on the moon there and someone was giving away a prize and we drove all those vehicles. Remember that,
Yep,
Jay?
yep.
Yeah, that race was like 6 months ago.
Yeah. And it was the first time I ever drove a ground vehicle. And I was like, man, there is so much to know about how not to hit a rock and whatever. But at least the controller, I was learning and making progress, right? But, in terms of an org perspective, if you think about it, like flying a ship with a joystick, we're going to have ground movements or convoys, or maybe you're just in a couple man group. You're going to want to be able to stay together. You're going to want to be able to operate those vehicles in close proximity to each other without having issues in terms of hitting rocks or crashing into each other. So I think that that provides that very well. I also like the third person view from driving those. It just makes it a little easier. And with the gamepad, it feels more natural to me. And operating the weapons. I think on my Ursa rover, I think the gun is operated by the driver, if I'm not mistaken. And so you got to be able to drive and point the gun at the same time. And with two different analog sticks up here, it's not the most comfortable thing to do. I wish the passenger could do it, but I was able to at least do that portion. And finally, I think it's very comfortable. You can have that controller in your lap. You don't need to mount it anywhere. It's not like a keyboard or anything. And on longer missions and longer drives, I think that's going to be very important. I know we did a mission there. We drove, I don't remember how many kilometers it was. And, you're talking about maybe 30, 40 minutes of doing that. Whereas those digital all on or all off inputs on a keyboard might get a little bit cumbersome and have to go back and forth. Whereas I feel like the gamepad is a very nice way to, again, be comfortable, have those analog abilities. And speaking of which, they're pretty small inputs. So the amount of physical work you're doing with your hands, to me, is a little less than what I would do with a keyboard. So for me personally, and I like to open up to you guys for what you think, but I think that a gamepad provides a great level of precision. It lets you drive close to what you want to without hitting the things you don't. And I think that it's a comfortable, easy way to use the ground vehicles.
I
agree completely. I'm going to tell a little secret here. I like joysticks for flying, but I often am in playing on my work computer. Don't judge me. And I don't have the ability to mount my joystick there easily because it's a workspace. And so I have a Steam controller that I use, and when I'm doing cargo missions, or I just, going and getting my uniform for the 20th time because the game's reset, I'll a lot of times throw that Steam controller in my lap and fly with it. But driving is so much easier with the gamepad than trying to do it with a joystick or something. I can't even comprehend that. We have some questions here that I'll get to. Turing, what do you think about what have you used for moving the vehicles around?
I just have my keyboard. And after hearing Josh, I'm going to go dig up one of my Xbox controllers and see if I can hook this dang thing up. Because
it's a lot nicer.
One comment to me of it being natural, I could see that. Because how many times have I sat on my Xbox and driven something around, looking at third person right from the top, and just driven it around, and that's gold. So if I can figure out how to do it, next week I'll be driving the vehicle around with my Xbox controller. I have a sneaking
suspicion that Josh will be publishing an Xbox driver controller profile.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed is this controller here, I believe, they have you control forward and back like this. And that's not really natural to me. I think I understand because it's easier with your thumb. I switched it so that forward and back is with these triggers up here. It just gives me
Yes.
a little more precision. I feel like it's a little more comfortable. So just note that when you plug it in, the
Okay.
default settings, you may want to adjust that for
But
your
right
computer.
now-
we should just
they-
build a 360 controller profile and release it, Josh. I mean, it wouldn't take 5 minutes.
It's true. We could.
Yeah,
we should do
probably.
that.
But right now, don't they still just have the vehicles? It's either all on or all off. I mean, there's no
No.
gradual push.
Oh
I mean,
no,
you
No,
can't-
no,
if you-
no.
Yeah,
if you
with
got a
this-
controller, the analog will work.
Yes,
Yeah, so
you
I
can
can
just
creep
drive really
along.
slow.
Oh my gosh,
can
that keeps
creep
me
along
from,
with
from
this.
slamming into everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the steering is
It's
the
so
same
much better.
way. You
Yeah.
can do little precise movements. I think in a I can't remember what the name of the ship was, but I think I got like 3 or 4 of the little vehicles in there, and I can tell you they probably only wanted 2. But you could squeeze them into a corner on one side, or put them in places that they necessarily want you to. I don't think I could do that with a keyboard; it'd be too chumpy.
Okay, so Sailor was asking just a second ago, how easy is it to get the mappings to stick? And Josh has spent hours and hours, and he's not talking about the 360 controller. He's talking about controllers in general.
Oh.
Josh and I have spent hours and hours working on joystick profiles. And there is a secret to this, which is a JSON file, an XML file that you have to build and load. And you cannot rely on the in-game configuration tools to work reliably. You really got to learn how to build one of these XML files. Josh, I think you would agree with that, right?
Yeah,
That
and
if you're
and-
doing a complex multi-controller setup.
Yeah, and look, if you're going to do a setup just in game and you're not going to try to use a modifier, it works relatively well. But given the number of controls and options and just the amount of things you want to increase, what I call your bandwidth, the amount of control that you can have, the amount of inputs you can have per second with it. And I think modifiers do that very nicely. The folks that are working on the SCJ Mapper program make it relatively straightforward to build your XML, but it all has to start from that. And then you have to plan out your systems. And I think we have a really good one. I don't think we're prepared to show it right now, but one of our guys has made the Warthog profile map very easy to read and understand the systems we've done. And I'm hoping we're going to be releasing that in the next couple of weeks. But it is a complicated process. You have to get the XML built. You have to make sure it's done right and get it into the game folder. You then have to look at whatever HOTAS manufacturer you're using. For instance, if you're using a Thrustmaster, they have their own OEM software. You have to understand that software, how to put your vision into that software, and make sure you line up what you built in the XML. But before you can actually build the XML, you have to go through and assign every control that you plan to use on an Excel sheet, so that when you build your program, or your design, you can go back and look at the XML and properly use those controls and the added ones, because not every control in game is assigned a key button by RSI. So you've got to plan all of the keys you want to use. You got to build the XML. You got to design your profile, and then you've got to get it all to work in game, which there's some steppy processes. They don't make it easy. So it's not an easy or quick process. And that's why we're doing all this work for our members, because I believe using a HOTAS is great for immersions and other reasons. But I think having all of the controls available and having someone think about this and work on it is going to give us an advantage.
Yep. Josh, I know we're not ready to release it, but if you could Discord Jaglin that PDF file real quick, we might be able to show it on the computer just to give folks an idea of what it looks like and not release it. If you could do that, or send it to me and I'll send it to her.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
And we'll throw it up here on the screen. But controller configurations, it's labor intensive, and we pull our hair out because it's not easy. Oh yeah, and CIG is very prone to changing the XML file from patch to patch, and you have to go and fix all of that, and you want to strangle them.
Well, not just patch to patch, but within major patches. So not 3.839, but the 3.1, 3.2. Oh my God.
Or when they decide to change an entire mechanic hover mode, and then abandon that mechanic at the next patch. And you're stuck with having to.
And you throw 3 months of joystick config work out the window.
Right.
Yeah, give me a
It's
second. I can pull this up for you.
not a problem. I'm sorry if I should have thought about having you or digging that up before we got here, but I'll send it. We'll get it over to Jaglin and she can pull it up on the video screen and show it to everybody.
Okay, so send it to you.
Send it to me and I'll send it over to her. That'd be fine. I've got you pulled up, so if you do that, I'll just grab it and give it to her.
Yeah, I'm grabbing it right now. Just give me 1 second.
No, take your time.
While he's doing that, I'll tell you the other thing I learned last week is how to map my curves.
Oh yes.
And so I thought when I was originally told that, I'm like, curves. I mean, what kind of curves are you talking about? How I drive around a corner or something like that? Oh no. This is very, and it all came with preparation for the op that we did today when I realized that I do not have the fine tuning I need to put my ship on the turret that I'm trying to blow up on the ground. So and when I was yawing back and forth, it was moving way too much. And I just mentioned that, oh, you got to map your curves. And I'm like, well, what the heck does that mean? So with a little bit of science, with a little bit of digging, I was able to go in, and they do make it fairly easy on a macro level to be able to do that. I'm sure that there are a lot more people out there with a lot more knowledge to be able to do it effectively. But just the little nuances that you learn as you go along, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, Jay, I sent that to you.
I got it.
Too big. Okay.
It's fine. I got it. I'm sending it to Jaglin right now. Hopefully she'll be able to get into this folder and pull this PDF up.
You know, it's
Coming
interesting.
to you,
I haven't messed with those curves yet.
Oh, I have. Yeah, you got to mess with those curves. Jaglin, tell me if you've got that. Okay, see if you could pull that up on the video computer and show it off a little bit. Okay, we've got some other questions that have come in here that I just don't want to ignore. ChapCap has been helping us by giving us pointers. Baggin for Life, how do you set up the Steam controller in Star Citizen? It's kind of a pain in the butt. I'm going to be honest. It's not straightforward. There are tutorials out there for how to do it, but basically you have to launch Star Citizen from the big screen or TV mode of Steam, and you have to launch it already logged in, which requires you to log in via the launcher, copy this little login authentication file off to a place, close the launcher, close Star Citizen, copy it into the right folder, then launch the game in Steam, and the Steam controller works. It's kind of that'd be perfect. Let's show that on the, and make it full screen if you can with F11. And there you go. And you should be able to scroll through that a little bit and let these guys see. Guys, this is our Warthog profile helper documentation right here. But that's how you do that. We had another user ask, does Star Citizen support all controllers? Anything that is DirectX mappable, Star Citizen supports. We've even gotten 3D mice to work that allow you to do all 6 degrees of motion. It just doesn't work very well. And honey, Josh is moving around on the screen. He's check your stuff there. Yep, fix that, please. Sorry about that. Josh is having some type of issue, and we don't know why. I'm big.
Moving.
Yeah, if you look on the screen, you'll see that you're like twice as large as everybody else.
Oh, perfect.
Hold on, she's getting it fixed. It'll be fixed in a second. And live TV, what do we say? But you guys can see here as we do this that this is there. Should be fixed now. Okay, sorry about that, guys. It happens. X input and direct input are 2 different standards. Pretty sure direct input doesn't work. You can get it to work, but X input or DirectX support is the secret sauce. That works just easy peasy. So, Josh, tell us a little bit about this controller config your team has been working on.
So if you scroll up to just where it says blue, where the FMS is there, oh, you almost had it. You were a little too far. I think it's the 3rd or 4th one down. Sorry. No, you're good. I think it's one more down. So this FMS represents the flight management system. And again, for anyone who doesn't know, a lot of what we have taken here comes from what's been learned throughout military time and using combat aircraft and systems-oriented ideals. So you have a threat management system, you have a countermeasures management system, but Star Citizen has some additional requirements. So we had to make up the flight management system. And in this concept, what we're doing is giving you full control to your speed limiter, to oh, there goes one of my lights, to your
Battery ran out.
yeah, the other one's going to do it soon. To your thruster power, to your G-safe, to be able to go VTOL. All of those different things are controlled by one hat switch and a modifier. So I really like the way this is, and the previous one we put up is just a black and white document, and you get lost in what is the primary and what is the modified function. And if you look there, you'll see that the primary state is written in white, the modified state is written in yellow. There's the word mod above it, and they're all in the same blue box. So you know it's the same category of system, but you know what the modifier does and in what direction. And I got to give credit. It's Raven. Has done some amazing things. I helped come out with the original design and some concepts of laying it out, but he's made this this map we're looking at even better than I would have thought. Some of the little details in there, the grayed out sections, like you would see in a Windows menu where you can't touch something, shows a button that's not currently being used. So we tried to think of as many things as possible to make this work. In addition, we've tried to make it so that visibly, whether you're on a phone or a tablet or a PC, you can see this pretty well and zoom in well enough to work with it. So just one example of one of the systems and some of the hard work that has been making improvements so that people can learn the controllers and how we've set them up.
Yeah, I mean it's dozens of hours that go into each of these controller configs the first time through, and so it's an entire staff, a small staff team. There's 4 or 5 guys in the team with Josh that are making this happen. But there's other support staff. We have a graphics team that helps with some of it, and we have operations guys that are going in and testing things. So it's a team effort. But Josh is kind of the lead monkey on that team, and
Trying to
be. He's knocking it out of the park. Jolly, anything you want to add on controllers before we move on?
No, I do have an Xbox. I haven't tried it yet, Josh. I'll give it a shot next time. And I do agree with your point on the thruster or the throttle. I think it's a good thing to adjust. I'll make that change too.
We had a question. Are we working on any profiles that use pedals? Yes. I mean, from my perspective, and I think most of the senior guys, we recommend pedals, both for yaw and brakes and things like that. So, Jolly, you have pedals, right?
Yeah, I had to get them for DCS. Because I started flying the World War II aircraft, and dissimilar braking is how you made a turn on the ground. So that's the reason why I got it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bothered.
What about you? Are you in pedals on your setup?
No, I don't have pedals.
So 3 out of the 4 of us have pedals. So, and I swear by it. Josh and I are probably the bigger gearheads. Josh flies a Thrustmaster with an FSB module, which it took me a year to talk him into getting because, he's an ornery cuss. And I still fly with an X65, which is by far, hands down, the best mass-produced joystick made in the last decade out of the box. The FSB module for the Warthog is pretty darn good, but it's 3 times more expensive than an X65 was.
And it requires more technical skill.
And it does require more technical skill. But the 65, hard pressed to beat it. But they don't make them anymore. You got to find them on the secondhand market. But they're worth it. They're, and in both of those cases, we're talking about joysticks that they sense the force you're putting on the stick like a real fighter does, instead of the movement of the stick like a gimbaled stick like a traditional Warthog or a TM 16000 or a SATEC 52 or 56.
And it gives you, the benefit of that is it gives you omnidirectional input almost instantaneously. Whereas if you have an analog controller and you got to push it forward, even just think about the stick that's on here, the latency of pushing this the other way is not as critical as the HOTAS is, but that instant input is really valuable in my opinion.
It is.
The hand back there is my wife. I texted her to turn some lights on.
Oh Oh my God. You're as bad as I am. Hey, Jacqueline, throw yourself up on the screen and just wave real
I
quick.
see another
Jacqueline
couch
is
in your
my
future.
wife
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and is our producer. And she doesn't like to be on camera. She's in her granny coat there. And I'm getting an evil look. But she's my wife and my producer, and she helps run the show. And it is more than one person. And I think that answers all these questions. And I think we're ready to move on to our final topic. We're way over schedule. We normally only go for about an hour and 10 minutes. We're already in an hour and 15. And we've got one last thing, which is the topic I put on here because I'm a crazy SOB. And that's let's talk about coronavirus and how it's impacting the gaming community. Jolly was making this joke, and I'll let him make it again, that he logged in this week at 2:00 in the afternoon Central Time, and normally it's just him and a couple of Europeans. And Jolly, what was different about this week?
We had probably about 16 people just hanging out in Blackwell's, let alone gaming itself. It was like it was a Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening
Right.
in terms of gaming numbers. And it was nice to see, but it does show you that if there's a silver lining behind all this garbage and pain and suffering is more time to game, I guess.
Turing, what's been your experience the last 2 weeks?
Well,
Not much different.
the same thing. I mean, used to when I was logging on during the day, it would just be the European crowd that was getting ready to, they're off work, getting ready to wind down for the night, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's brought a lot of people who may not play that often in the past back in to drop in at odd times and just get reacquainted with both the organization and with Star Citizen. I've seen a lot of new. I know they're not new because they've been around for a while, but they're new to me. I haven't played with them before, and that's been great. I think that one of the other aspects of it is, and we have to appreciate that the gaming community, especially CIG, with it already being set up for just making operations in 5 different studio locations. I know it's difficult for them to switch to working out of their houses, but they're already kind of used to working apart from one another and in various different locations. So I took that as hope that we'll still see more development and continued development within this game, and I think within other gaming games too. It may be a good time to be in the game community.
Well, and I would say that, just not thinking about Star Citizen and the extra numbers, which I love. I love that there's a lot of people. I've been kind of busy with work because for some odd reason I thought I was going to have a little COVID vacation, and it's turned into WorkFest 2020. But it's nice to have a group of guys you can get in and play with and have some social life.
Yeah.
Instead of being
the connections.
Yeah, it's people you can, we've got a lot of guys that aren't getting on and playing. They're just sitting in a chat channel talking about politics or talking about whatever, just jaw-jacking about stuff just so that they have some companionship,
for
lack of a better term.
I think the mental health aspect of this is something that's going to be with us for some time within, certain communities. There was a doctor on one of the shows, news shows, I saw about a week ago, said that we need to get away from this social distancing label. It's physical distancing, social connections is what we really need to be looking at and putting that out. And if gaming's a way to work and be able to keep those social connections going, then so be it. That's great.
And I don't want to out Josh, but Josh works in sales and by far is the most people person out of the 4 of us. No offense, Josh.
Yeah.
But and I'll be honest, 2 of the 4 of us are retired, and I won't say which 2, and one of us works from home, and that's me. And then Josh is out doing sales every day.
We won't say which 2 now.
So you just outed the rest of us. That's what you're saying.
Hey, I didn't name which 2, but anyhow, my point is that Josh is by far the more social butterfly of all 4 of us. And I know for you've been stuck at home. You're in an epicenter there in California, and I'm not going to say what part, but you're in a place that's in lockdown and has been for the better part of 3 weeks. So how are you coping with this?
It's interesting. I've been tracking, COVID for a while, and there was a couple of alarm bells that just struck me in a way that, that some of the other things that have come up in the past did not, like swine flu. And talking with Jay and just kind of checking my perspective, I'm prepared. So, food wise and all that stuff, we're in a good spot. But it's different. I'm used to working about 30 to 40% at home, and then I'm out in the road. I'm bouncing around, seeing people and being social. And throughout the years, the thing that my wife has said is, when you go gaming, you're in there in some chat, program talking to people the whole time. And I'm like, yeah, it's me being social and gaming. And it's just an extension of who I am and what I like to do. And during this time, when I say used to sim race, I should be more clear. I was absolutely freaking rock hard, dead serious. I'd put in 20 or 30 hours a week in practicing and developing a setup. Some of these sims are so complicated that, you make the smallest adjustment and it has a huge impact, and how that adjustment combines with other adjustments with the front springs, the rear springs, and the ride heights and whatnot. And I did it for a long time. And it's interesting because sim racing, I don't know that it was looked down on necessarily, but it wasn't very mainstream. I'm not going to name names, but there's been some professional NASCAR drivers that I've raced with for years. And, they just want to be treated like anybody else and just go out there and race and have fun. But I stepped away from it for a while. I needed a break. There was some things that I didn't like. And recently, for some strange reason, I plugged in my wheel and my pedals, and I started enjoying driving again. And at the same time, NASCAR and a lot of the major sporting events have canceled, and rightly they should. But they did host an online e-series. They did their first week last week. It was very surreal to see something that I've played for years now being front and center in what NASCAR actually is. And watching some guy deliver the national anthem in his garage, it's just very.
Well, and they aired this on ESPN, didn't they?
Fox Sports One.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, Fox Sports One. Sorry. Yeah.
Yep. And
I mean, it was like the #1 channel that day.
Yeah,
it's something crazy.
And I know some of the folks that work for iRacing because they've been a part of the community for a long time, and there's a lot of good folks over there. And they said that, they had more people log on and they've had more people sign up. I remember seeing 3,000 or 4,000. Now, I walked away for like 5 years. So seeing 12, 14, 15,000 people on at one time, those are big number jumps. So I think it's, there's a lot to be concerned with this. And I think there's a lot that we still haven't faced. But seeing gaming come up to be an alternative to certain professional things, to being something that can entertain you. And look, mental health wise, you've got to maintain some level of connection with other people. You've got to maintain some regular thing in your life. And I was looking forward to doing this show because I'm like, I get to hang out with these guys I don't get to all the time. We get to talk about some things I'm passionate about. And I think we're going to see more of it. IndyCar did one this week. Formula One's doing one. I think we're going to see more of it, and I welcome it. There's nothing wrong with gaming and enjoying stuff with your friends, and I'm glad to see it become a little bit more maybe in the mainstream.
I agree, and this is a great social outlet. A lot of times gaming groups have been kind of in the closet. People have kind of turned their nose up at it, but the reality is some of my best friends in life are people that I met online, and people that we really care about what's going on in each other's lives. I've got closer connections. I talk more on the cell phone and day to day with guys in ADI as true friends, talking about business, talking about our lives, our wives, our kids.
Keeping you awake when you're driving cross country.
Yeah, exactly. Jolly here probably saved my life. I was driving back from Atlanta. I had to go down there I do some stuff in the legal profession and was down there for a meeting. I had to drive back late at night. And I just called Jolly up and go, hey, do you mind chit chat with me about Star Citizen or just life to help me stay awake? And he was, he's a couple hours behind me. So it was a little earlier in the evening for him. And, the man stepped up and we just chit chatted for an hour and a half or something. Yeah. I mean, it's just, and I think Jolly would say, there's 20 years difference between us, but I think Jolly would tell you, I'd hope you'd consider me a good friend at this point.
Closer to 10, buddy. Closer to 10.
Oh, no. I'm only 44, Jolly.
Yeah, closer to 10.
I think your math is off there, sir.
14. 14's closer to 10 than 20.
Fair enough. Okay. I'm giving you, but you know what point? I mean, there's an age difference, but I would consider you one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And, Josh and I talk almost daily about, and we don't talk about Star Citizen. We just talk about everything else. So, I think that having that social outlet and the people you meet and having to be able to get on and talk about stuff, is really great. And I just, it isn't, if you don't have a social circle and all is going out to a restaurant or hanging out with buddies and you can't do that, gaming is a good way to have another social circle that you can always connect with. And I don't think this is going to end next week. And Turing is probably, out of the three of us, the more professional expert. Turing, you see this getting worse before it gets better. Is that an accurate statement?
I see the numbers getting worse before it gets better. I would say that the numbers that you see growing over the last few days and the curve represents cases that have been already out there for 7 to 12 days. So it's not surprising to me that the curve is a reality. There was no way you were going to stop because of the delay in putting the physical distancing in place, the curve being what it is. And I think we're still conservatively 2 weeks before you're going to start seeing in areas outside the major hotspots the curve beginning to flatten.
And in areas of major hotspots.
The other thing I would say is I lived H1N1 as in a major metropolitan area, and if this first started coming out, it had a lot of the characteristics for that, and I will say that it is not H1N1, and it is more contagious. And the major factor that is causing the most concern amongst the medical planning community is the fact that you can have this, you can be carrying it asymptomatically for such a long period of time, and you have the ability to spread it quite pervasively in the community that you're in. H1N1, the standard influenza virus, you get the virus 3 to 5 days, you begin to feel like crap. You start to self-isolate pretty much on your own. This you can go some cases up to 2 weeks before you even start feeling it, or you may not even have any symptoms at all. That's the big issue here. At some point, though, we're going to have to get back to some semblance of community and reality, and now's not the time to do that, but it's coming fairly soon.
Yeah, and for some of the hot centers, it may be a month before they're able to get back to that. I think you'd agree.
Yes,
So.
and given just the nature of our country and the nature of our culture and the nature of our people, we do not like to be confined in places. We do not to be locked up in places. It's simply the American people are not going to do that, and so it's a matter of folks doing what they need to do now, but let's prepare for the long haul, because the vaccination, 18 months before it's here. So.
And from a professional standpoint, and I'm not going to say what you did, but you were very involved in H1N1 planning. We'll just leave it at that at a very important level. Do you see us probably having a second wave of this and having to probably do another one of these physical distancings come, this fall, winter?
Well, I think we're still a little bit away from figuring out whether or not, what's the climatic impact's going to be with this. Is it going to run? Are you going to see the same nature of a initial wave and then a follow-on wave as we move back into the fall, or we go through the summer months? Will we have it to the extent that we do? In my mind, I'd probably say no, because there are so many other people out there that have already caught this that we have not tested and we don't know, that in some locations herd immunity may be a real result. I still think you are going to see it again. I believe this is, as the World Health Organization and Dr. Fauci and all those folks say, it's endemic, not pandemic. It is around. It'll SARS is still around. H1N1 is still around. All these things are still around, and what's keeping it from being the massive overrun problem that we have is herd immunity and available vaccinations. We won't have enough time to stave off a second wave before the vaccination is here. So you're in some ways kind of banking on the bad result now, meaning there are people that we don't know who have it and will become immune to it. Therefore, in a lot of places, it won't hit the second wave, won't hit as hard as it might. I still think you will see it again in the fall.
And hopefully, a possibility is we may find a prophylactic, i.e., something that you could take on a regular basis. And we're not going to talk about what, but there are some possible, use that term, possible but not proven,
right,
lights on the horizon that maybe a few months from now we'll have scientific confirmation could allow us to take something and that would reduce getting it, or at least reduce the extremely bad outcomes that some people are seeing.
Yeah, I think there will possibly be some low risk prophylaxis, pre-prophylaxis that might be available, so that folks will be able to not vaccinate yourself and give yourself an immunity, but will be able to stave off the most negative effects to it. And that's very important for our healthcare community, who has to continue to be on the front lines and get this in and get encountered with it, every day. If nothing else, I think there's 2 to 3 possible good outcomes with this, and that's going to be our greater understanding of COVID and the SARS viruses in general, and how they mutate, and how we begin to start looking at staying ahead of the curve with that, an awareness amongst the public on good public health hygiene. Oh my God! I don't know how many times I've told. I mean, I remember telling my own kids, just wash your dang hands, and I think that's the big, a big thing with that. And the third thing I think is, oh my God, I hope at this local, state, and federal level we get back into the business of emergency planning and make pandemic and make bio stuff one of the major things, and let's not let things such as the strategic stockpile get down to virtually nothing, which is what we had, and after H1N1 and things like that. So that's going to be hopefully something positive that comes out of it, is just the awareness. But again, the American public being who they are and their memory being what it is, I don't know. We'll just have to see.
Well, that was enough deep thought, but we wanted to talk about it. Here's the takeaways, the positive takeaways from this. You got some more time at home. Get online and play some Star Citizen or some other game. Get on if you're in an org, get on voice chat with your buddies and talk. Get some social interaction that is not physical interaction to stay sane. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. But Turing's right, my opinion. Turing, correct me if I'm wrong. The next year and a quarter is going to be kind of rough. We're going to have, this thing is not going to go away right away in my mind. But we will get a vaccine. We'll get to the other side of this. And if you're stuck at home, hop online and, be in a gaming group. If you don't have a gaming group, check out Atlas Defense Industries. There's a plug for the org. Because there's guys playing right now that are in Star Citizen. There's a lot of guys watching the show right now, and we love them all. And it's a big fraternity, for lack of a better term. Jolly, closing thoughts on your part.
Yeah, actually, from Turing's comment right there, that's the biggest takeaway for the night for me is physical distancing, social connecting.
Yes.
That's a good point. Real good point.
Real good comment. Josh, final thoughts.
I would add to the social connecting to break outside of if you are gaming, to break outside of what you maybe normally do. Try something a little different. If you just like mining in Star Citizen, maybe go do some combat missions or vice versa. I think this is an opportunity for you to challenge yourself in some new ways and take on some new adventures. Whether that's a new game or a new thing in a game, take your friends along, have some fun, and make something of this time that you can remember. And more importantly, get away from the news cycle that focuses on the worst of it, and just have some time where you can be normal.
I agree. Turing, final thoughts.
I would say use this time to look at stepping outside your comfort zone, trying new things as best you can within the confines of your house. Don't neglect your family. Don't neglect your look after your neighbors. Even in this time of being apart, you're still part of a connected community. And don't, if you get to a point where you need to talk, please do.
Yep. Don't get depressed. You can always hop on and chit chat, and people will be there to support you.
And I realize that if I'm driving across country, I know who to call.
Yeah, Jolly, not me. I'll fall asleep on the phone on you. No, I'm kidding. Turing, you're driving across country. You feel free to call me. You got my
Okay.
I'll back you up. I know Jolly would too. We love you. A couple things, guys. If you haven't followed us on Twitch, please do it now and give us those follows so that you get alerts when we go live. We have a Facebook page that I keep semi-active. We do cut these videos up into small segments and post them to YouTube, and I make all those announcements on Facebook. I will also have this full show available for you to watch in the next couple of days. Now, I'm going to put my co-hosts on the spot. Guys, I think what we can do for the pandemic is maybe we can run a show in 2 weeks instead of a month from now. I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Jolly, you think you're up for doing another show in 2 weeks?
Partner, before you start deciding.
Oh, yep, before picking dates.
Here.
Yeah, Jolly's got to check schedules on us because Jolly's the keeper of the ADI schedule. I'm going to see what he tells me. Can we do it or can't we? What do you guys think? Let's put something in the chat. Do you want us to do this a little bit more often while you're stuck at home and there's nothing on to watch sports-wise, or is once a month way too often already?
We have something big we're doing on that daytime, but it's at 2 p.m. Central, so...
You think we could do an 8 o'clock?
Yeah, it's doable.
Turing, what about you? 2 weeks from tonight?
When would that be? The
11th, excuse me. 11th.
The 11th.
That's, 12th is Easter. I don't know if that's going to... Well, can't go to Easter service, so what the hell?
Yeah. What do you think, Josh? You up for the 11th?
Yeah, I'm good. Maybe we'll even have 3-9 to talk about.
Yeah. What do you think about Turing? We think we can pull you aside. You're not going to some late night Sunday Easter or Saturday Easter Mass or something, are you?
Yeah.
So you up for 2 weeks from today?
Yeah. What time were we talking about?
Late,
can we talk,
like
we
this.
can talk time later, but that's
fine.
fine.
Yeah, late like this, 8 o'clock.
Oh, 8
after dinner.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a good time.
Yeah, it'd be after dinner.
Yeah, I was hoping maybe we could look at something amongst us that can branch out to some of the other other parts of the world that are already asleep at this time too.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing one of these middle afternoon.
Like at 11 or noon or something.
Yeah, we can't do it that day, but we're going to be committed to doing these a little bit more often while the COVID stuff is up, because we know there's a lot of guys in Europe that can't go anywhere. We know there's a lot of guys in big centers, population centers here in the United States. They're going to be like that for another 3 or 4 weeks. We're just going to be a little bit more active, and then we'll go back to the monthly schedule. But we're going to run some special episodes. Definitely, if you guys have great ideas, things you want us to discuss, please post them to our Facebook. Please, we also have our Discord server, discord.hangarready.com. Join us on there. Give us feedback for ideas that you want us to discuss. But we had 5 or 6 things that we couldn't put on the schedule, and we went way long today. So I think we can come up with enough to talk about and give you guys something to think about. So we'll be back 2 weeks from tonight. Well, we'll be back within the next 2 weeks. We'll pick a specific time and date between then.
Let's re-hit this last topic again 2 weeks from now.
Yes, definitely. Because I think we'll have happier news in that space. So, or at least getting close to it. So thank you for the nice stream there, Sailor. Hopefully we didn't make you feel unwelcome. Operation Pitchfork is a cool thing that they're doing. you should check it out. Definitely check out Atlas Defense Industries if you're looking for an org. And we will be back shortly. Normally we run this once a month, but since we're all stuck at home for COVID for the next little bit, we'll run an extra episode here for the month. Well, 2 episodes in the month of April. So you guys take it easy. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. We'll be on the Discord channel answering questions and obviously hanging out. So, what's going on? What are we doing? Oh my
Special
God,
effects
Josh,
for
are you that
Special
freaking
effects,
bored?
man.
And I promise the next stream we will have Josh's audio delay worked out if I have to buy him a $20 mic input and mail it to him. So,
Awesome.
Yeah, and Pitchfork is a pre-approved affiliation for ADI members, just so you guys are
it
aware.
definitely is. Yes. So, guys, so long. Thank you. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. Go kill some stuff in Star Citizen. Take it easy and so long.
Good
Wash
night.
your dang hands.
Wash your